Hello, my name is John Reynolds. Welcome to Extraordinary Life Stories. On this episode, I'm talking with James Watt, the visionary co-founder of BrewDog. James's journey began with a passion for quality, unorthodox brews, and a desire to shake up the traditional beer industry with bold ideas and even bolder ambition. On a mission to break into the top 10 beer brands in the world, which incidentally are all over 150 years old, BrewDog currently sits at number 14, so all is on track with the mission. James is a genuine disruptor and innovator, so I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So let's get into it. James, thank you so much for joining me.
Happy to be here.
I've been looking forward to this. Tell me, who is James Watt?
Oh, good question to start off with. So it's so odd. I've been running businesses now for almost 20 years. I still see myself as a fisherman. If somebody was to ask me who I am, I think I'm a North Atlantic captain, and I've spent so much of my life on boats, on the ocean. It's something I love. It's something all my family did. So I think I'm a North Atlantic captain turned business person.
I love that. When you were on the sea and all those, it was 10 years plus, wasn't it? Were you thinking beyond that, or were you just super happy and present in the moment, or were you actually thinking about kind of actually one day I'll go into business?
I was super happy and super present in the moment. I loved it. I loved the people I was in the boat with, and to this day my best friends are the people that I spent time with on the fishing boats, and I loved the challenge of it. I loved the adventure of it. I loved
no day's the same, right?
Yeah, I love the kind of tenacity and resilience that you needed to have. And I always said when I set up the business, let's take a massive gamble. Let's either build an amazing business or crash and burn completely, because the space in between is boring. And if I end up back in the fishing boat, amazing, because I love being in the fishing boat.
So you kind of had a plan B.
Yeah.
So you actually could go and take the risks, explore, which is a huge curiosity, is a huge part of business, right? But what you did is you followed a passion. So you'd always loved beer. But what guy doesn't, I guess? But how did you make a business out of it and be successful? Because how many people have probably sat in a pub going, I could make a beer and so on. You've done it and you've flown with it.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I just feel so lucky to have spent the last 17 and a half years doing something that just doesn't feel like a job, because I was so passionate about the beer, the experience, the taste, the flavour, the people, the mission of the company, the locations, like opening our own bars in Tokyo and Las Vegas and Brisbane and Berlin. It's just been the most amazing journey. And we set out in 2007 as 2 humans and 1 dog. And our mission was to make other people as passionate about fantastic beer as we are. And everything came back to the beer. So we live and die by what's in the bottle. We live and die by what's in every single glass. And we just wanted to elevate the status of beer and share these amazing liquids with as many people as we can.
So going back to that sort of session of time where you're on the boats and you're fishing, to then mapping out the business, how did you dissect literally from ingredients of the beer to how you're going to then create a business out of it and brand it? You know, where did that all come from? Because you hadn't been doing that.
And for me, that was the best possible scenario. We had no idea what we were supposed to do. We had no idea how things were supposed to be done, which was absolutely amazing, because if we knew how things were supposed to be done, we would have done things the conventional way, and if you do things the conventional way, you get a conventional outcome. So the greatest strength that myself and Martin had setting up the business as 2 very naive 24-year-olds.
Naive's the word, right?
Yeah, but blissfully naive. Yeah, it's absolute superpower. We didn't know how things were meant to be done. We did things to any industry expert would look so stupid or audacious or naive or just completely incompetent. But if as a small company you do the same things as a bigger competitor, if as a small company you do what's expected of you, you stay a small company, and we didn't want to stay a small company, so the fact that we didn't know what we were doing was one of the key ingredients of our success.
And that ultimately is being a disruptor. You came in as a disruptor. And I love that, right? That's proper true entrepreneur or something. But you've created your ingredients, you've created a brand, but at some point you're going to need to scale, you're going to need investment, you're going to need people around you. Did anyone come in at that time and say, this won't work, or you're not doing it the right way? And did you have to ignore that noise? Because I bet there's a point that where from going back to the point where I can go back to the fishing boats, now this is getting real. Now this is like, actually, this could work. Did anyone come in your ear and go, this is not how you do it?
Absolutely, all the time. And like, I think anyone who builds something has a few unusual mindsets. I absolutely love it when someone tells me that can't be done. You can't do that.
Becomes a challenge.
Just watch this. Just watch this. Let's give it a go. Let's see what we can do. And like I always say to the team, like we're bound by the laws of physics. Everything else is up for debate. And I just love impossible challenges. I always think it's the most difficult thing you have to do as a founder, as a builder, that creates the most value. So the more times I hear someone telling me, that's crazy, that's stupid, that's impossible, the more determined I am to find a way to make it work.
And actually, you were ahead of the curve, right? There's a lot of disruption now. Look at from AI to podcasts, moving away from TV. But in terms of an established industry, if you like, I can't think of another story that, apart from flipping an industry to say Gymshark, gymwear, Nike, and so on. Suddenly, what was your USP? What was it that allowed you to flourish and scale to the heights that BrewDog is now?
And you're so right about beer as a category, by the way. If you look at the top 10 beer brands on the planet, they're all at least 150 years old. That is not true
super
of
established.
Any other industry. We're now up to 14, by the way, so we're kind of aiming for that top 10. And we knew we had to do a few things. We're competing against these behemoths. We had to find a way to stand out with no marketing budget at all. So we did things that were audacious. We did things that were a little bit stunty. We did things that were on the edge. We made the world's strongest ever beer. We threw taxidermy cats out of a helicopter over the Bank of England. We drove a tank through the streets of London.
Brilliant.
We projected ourselves naked in the Houses of Parliament. We made a beer at the bottom of the ocean. And everything for us tied back to two things: our passion for beer and our community. So our business was selfish. We made beers that we wanted to drink ourselves, and we had to make the best beers we possibly could. Everything came back to that. And we focused so much on community. And for me, any consumer business, community is the only competitive advantage you have. And your success and your destiny is going to be determined by how well you engage your community versus your competition. And from day one, we built our business hand in hand with our very passionate community.
Which by default means you've got such a loyal following. I can see that from, let alone my personal perspective. You know that from anyone I speak to about you, and we're part of a pretty big entrepreneur community, if you like. But that makes you incredibly popular and talked about in the right way there. It also makes you very unpopular with the established, I won't name the big brands, but, and I guess, was there ever a feeling that there was a deliberate target at BrewDog, at you personally, because you're coming in as a disruptor? You're a threat.
So many times, and it is just inevitable. If you are trying to facilitate change, the status quo are not going to be happy with that. And they've got this kind of entrenched market position that's been entrenched for not just 10 years, but for over 100 years. So anything coming that's different, that's innovative, that's challenging, that's trying to do things in a different way is a threat to them. And for us, we exist to show a different side of beer. And I think if you look at the big beer companies, they've taken this amazing, magical, mythical beverage and just turned it into a lowest common denominator commodity. They've stripped the magic, the passion, the taste, the flavour, the quality out. Then they spend gazillions each year on advertising, trying to convince people this commodity, this bland, tasteless, apathetic thing is what beer should be. So we wanted to smash that on its head and just open people's eyes up to this universe of flavour, depth, character, taste, experience they just didn't know existed. And obviously that puts the incumbents on edge.
Yeah, there's so much passion coming from the way you're talking now. It's like you couldn't make it up, right? It's just raw authenticity coming out. How do you stay relevant with that? So you've disrupted, you've come in and you've got this following, you're opening up, more and more around the world. What can you do next? And I suppose what I mean is it changing the shape of the bottles, the cans? Is it the taste? Is it the next prank stunt that just, what can you keep doing? Because I imagine that's a key part of interest to you. You enjoy that whole kind of what's next.
Yeah, for us, it's just continuing to innovate and make amazing liquids. And for us, everything has to come back to the liquids, and we can have the best sales team on the planet. We can have the best marketing. We can have the best digital, the best social, whatever. If we don't have amazing beers, none of that makes sense. And the most impactful thing that we can do to grow our business is continue focusing on making just absolutely outstanding beers. And there's just so much potential for further innovation, ingredients, taste, flavour. In beers at the moment, we're using nitro dispense. We've launched a nitro stout that's doing amazingly well for us. We're really big into innovation in non-alcoholic beers, trying to make them taste, feel as good as the alcoholic equivalent. And actually, I love this about our business. We now sell more non-alcoholic beers in America than we do actual beers.
I didn't know this.
In the US business. We're expanding geographically. We've got a big push into India. We've opened 4 locations, big push into China, amazing joint venture partnership in Japan. So just so much to go after. And I'm happy for us to chase down every single opportunity as long as all of the team remain laser focused on what's in every single can, bottle and beer glass.
Love that. I really wanted to open up that non-alcoholic side. So you and I meet 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We meet for a beer. It's got alcohol in it. It's highly likely now, whether it be the two of us or if there's four of us. And I went to the rugby on Saturday and there was 10 of us. 6 people, including me, had non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. That's not something you could have even imagined talking about. It was kind of frowned upon. And why would you have a beer?
What's wrong with you? Yeah.
But what feels like now, and the real focus is enjoying drinking the drink. Is that a culture that you've not only stayed relevant with, but encouraging? Because clearly there's a lot out there that clearly demonstrates how bad for you alcohol will be in overconsumption. Is that something as a company that you're trying to encourage and embrace and almost not move away from, but just make sure you're providing both options and promoting?
Yeah, 100%. And we want to elevate non-alcoholic beer. We don't want it to be seen as like the poor cousin. Yeah, exactly. We want to have a non-alcoholic beer with the same amount of taste, flavour, quality ingredients, the same flavour experience, the same excitement when you smell it, when you taste it, when you sip it. And ultimately, beer is about taking people together and giving them a shared social experience. For me, beer is best enjoyed with people you want to spend time with. Now, not all of those people might want to drink alcoholic beer at the same time, so the fact that you can still take people together, as you said, and have that shared experience, enjoying something that's made with love and passion and handcrafted and authentic and all of these things, I think is absolutely amazing. And also, if we look at our non-alcoholic beers, the vast majority of people who drink them are people who do drink alcohol. So it's not people drinking them because they're teetotal or because they don't drink. It's just people who want to consume alcohol in a slightly different way, and they might have a few beers and a few non-alcoholic beers watching some football on a Tuesday night. They might go out but not want to drink that evening for whatever reason, and I think it's just an amazing way to manage consumption. One of the things that I love doing, we do Punk IPA and Punk AF, which is non-alcoholic punk. I just mix them 50-50, which gives me like Punk at 2.7%, which is amazing.
It's diluted, yeah. And it's smart. Thing about it, this is really rather obvious, but 10 people, back to my Saturday, I would have probably had a Sprite or a sparkling water, but I can still have a beer. Yeah. And that's giving you the business that you wouldn't have had, and I can still feel like I'm drinking the drink. And
you're more involved in that experience because everyone's coming together with a beer, and like for me, a beer is a beer. If it's got alcohol or non-alcohol, it's like taking people together for that experience.
And again, probably almost flipping back a few years, anyone drinking beer would be associated probably not looking particularly fit. You came into this as someone that loves beer, and you look fighting fit. Talk to me about that whole kind of, it's almost like how you manage that. So clearly it's probably part of your own research and development to drink beer and still enjoy that. But what do you do to keep fit, and what works for you in terms of morning routine and sort of actual exercise?
I think it's so important for anyone who's leading a business, anyone who's looking after a business, you've got to look after yourself first and foremost. And I keep fit mainly because I know if I feel fit and healthy, I can perform at a 9 or 10 out of 10.
So you're doing it for this?
Every single day, consistently, as opposed to if I don't exercise, if I don't feel at my best, I'm performing at a 6 or a 7. I'm not the leader my team or the business deserves. So for me, I look after myself so that I can perform at my best at work. And I've got a list of things that I love to do. So I exercise most days. I do ice bath each and every single day. It's my most important part of my routine.
When do you do that?
I do it in the morning, and I've been doing it for 3 years now. Every single day, I still hate it, and I still try and talk myself out of it. It's like, well, maybe you
There's
don't have to
nothing enjoyable about that at all, right?
But you feel amazing afterwards, and just it sets you up to have an amazing day because you've instilled that resilience, that tenacity, that determination, and do a difficult thing. So anything I have to do in the office, much easier than sitting at 1 degree Celsius for 3 minutes before I get there. So that's really important for me. I love doing walking meetings, walking phone calls, getting out of the office. I use a standing desk. At the end of each day, I make sure that I kind of switch off all my devices at least an hour before I go to bed. And I like to read and journal.
Are you really good at that? I really struggle with that. So you actually, I'm asking you from a fellow entrepreneur that I want to do that, and then I'm like, I'll just respond to this. And so I know I should, and maybe I did it yesterday, but today I've completely failed at that. Are you pretty consistent with that?
I'm really good at it because I know if I don't do it, I'm not going to switch off, I'm not going to sleep as well. So say that's a Monday night. If I don't do it on a Monday night, I know I'm not taking the best version of myself to work on the Tuesday, and I don't want to sacrifice a whole day's worth of delivery against my goals for a few text messages.
That make me feel really bad.
At 10:30 on a Monday night.
Yeah, but it's the habit forming, right? Which is also back to the ice bath. And so what about when you have the day forget being ill and so on, where you miss it, are you straight back at it? Because you seem laser focused when I'm talking to you now. I can tell that's probably something you carry through everything. Yeah. Are you really disciplined with that? Is it just like, right, I might have not been able to do it today, I'm having it tomorrow?
Yes, so we all get to make choices, and I think we all need to be disciplined in the choices we make, and I think how disciplined you are in the small choices impacts how disciplined you are in the big choices as well. So I actually use a checklist each night before I go to bed, and there's up to 10 things I know I need to do, and I want to ensure I've done at least 5 of them. So that includes meditation, reading, walking meetings, grounding, reading, journaling, a bit of stretching, ice bath, sauna, keep fit. And if I haven't done 5 of those, I know I'm not being the best version of myself.
And this is interesting. So a lot of people swear by a morning routine. Any successful CEO business in which you ultimately are. There's so many books, podcasts out there that say you've got to be up at 4 a.m, you've got to run the marathon, you've got to meditate and so on. And you're a dad as well, right? You know, and recently engaged. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome news.
It's been a happy few weeks.
But point there's a lot of juggling, right? Yeah. So are you saying that if you want to tick 5 of the 10 things off, or preferably more, you'll just get them done in the day? And that way you've got the day to do it? Or are you trying to tick them off before 9 o'clock in the morning, before the day gets busy?
No, I have to get them done in the day, and I would love to be one of these people that get up at 4 or 5 or 6 a.m. and they win the world before breakfast time. That is just not me. I do most of my best work late afternoon and into the evening. So I set up my schedule to facilitate that. So I usually don't start work before 8. I like to do things kind of late morning, early afternoon to kind of break up my working day, but then I'll happily work until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And that's when I work at my best. And I think it's so different for everyone. So it kind of try and shoehorn everyone into this like meditate and run between 6 and 7. It just doesn't work. You've got to find what's best for you, your business, what you're trying to achieve. And it's completely different for everyone. I
love hearing that, because we've had this conversation about being kind of fellow entrepreneurs. And actually that brings into play, we both at the Great British Entrepreneur Awards on Monday. There's other entrepreneurs that, dare I say, you would back as an investor. And you mentioned to me that you are the lead investor in the ice bath. It's gone from my brain.
It's called Monk.
Monk. Yeah. So talk to me about that, because the passion and the knowledge and the desire to ultimately be the founder of BrewDog, that's your baby, right? Investing into another business is a whole different thing. You've got your laser focus. You've got to then trust another entrepreneur. You're putting your own money in. What makes you get involved in a business?
So I love investing, and I've got a portfolio of 15 mainly consumer goods companies where I invest. And I never just want to invest money. Anyone can do that. I want to find someone who I can work with and who I can help. And I've had an amazing journey with BrewDog, but we've had highs, we've had lows. I've done some fantastic things. I've made some huge mistakes, and I want them to learn from my successes and my mistakes and my failures and help them build a fantastic business. Monk's a great example. So I'm the lead investor, the chairman of the business. We've been working on it for 2 years. It's an ice bath company. My first Monk got delivered last night. I was so excited. It was like the moment where I first saw Punk IPA on the shelves in Tesco. And what I love about Monk as a business, we're not just trying to build a business, but we're trying to build healthier, happier humans, which is a hell of a goal.
Yeah, what a great mission, right? And actually, to bring that back to the individual you as James, we've talked about that community about as BrewDog. You've got an amazing personal brand, and actually having spent more time, being honest, looking at your socials in the build-up to filming with you, you put yourself out there. You're talking to the camera in the morning and saying, this is what I'm doing today. This is what I'm going to try and achieve. This is what I did yesterday. That also leaves you wide open to, particularly in Britain, I think we're really critical, right? You know, and bring people down. But you don't seem to care, and I don't mean it in an arrogant way. It's just like, this is who I am, and this is what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to let you know. Where's that coming from? It feels like a heartfelt, genuine authenticity.
I think so too, and like throughout the journey with BrewDog, we were never about trying to keep everyone happy. We did something that we loved, we took a stand for the issues that we believed in, we wore our heart in our sleeve, and we kind of just put everything out there, and that's something I do myself as well. And for me, the UK needs more people to build businesses. The UK needs more people to create jobs. The UK needs more people to dive in with both feet and try and build something. And if by being open and transparent about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, the lessons I've learned, how I structure my days, what I'm trying to achieve, if that can help encourage people to start a business, if that can help people who are going through a difficult time in business, if that can help other businesses, other founders, other entrepreneurs, then I think it's a really good thing for me to do.
I love that. That's proper mentoring, right? And actually that's what it feels like coming from. It's like, you know, if you can learn from me, and that's the why behind this whole conversation. I'm learning from you right now. If you were to go back to a young James or an aspirational entrepreneur right now, with all that knowledge you have got and continue to learn and to be able to share, what's the one piece of advice you'd give?
The one piece of advice I would give is it's supposed to be difficult. And if it was easy, everyone would do it and success would mean nothing. And as a founder, as a builder, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, it's when things are at their most difficult that you need to be at your best. And I think it's how you are when things are at their toughest that ultimately determines your destiny. So it's the version of yourself that you take to the most stern of challenges that has the biggest impact. And I think any business over the course of 10 years is going to have the same amount of good things and bad things happen to it. I think it's going to have the same amount of good luck and bad luck. I think it's going to have the same amount of opportunity and the same amount of challenge. So you've got to understand that, okay, you're going through a tough time, you're facing it something difficult. All of your competitors are going to have to do that at some point in their journey as well. So this is a chance for you to show the world who you are, what your company is about, and step up to the plate and deliver when things are tough. And that's what ultimately for me builds success.
That's awesome. No pressure, no diamonds.
No pressure, no diamonds.
So with that, that really for me epitomizes kind of the fear of failure, which I've gone through before. I probably still have, and I really try and embrace that now. Almost like I have a chat with myself. Are you scared of that? Because if you are, take it on. And you build confidence from the things that you've taken. Even this isn't something that I was doing 3 years ago, and it was an intimidation of cameras and lights, and to then not noticing that anymore because you got past it. If you look at the ultimately the success that you've had, sitting here now, how do you define success, and how different is it to, dare I say, an answer you might have given back on the trawlers, if you like, pre the business start?
How do I define success? So for the longest time, my mission in life was to build a unicorn. So that's a company that achieves £1 billion valuation. And like all my heroes, the people who I idolized, from Musk to Gates to Walt, they all build unicorns. Like I wanted to prove to myself that I could build a unicorn. And it was, for me as a business geek, it was one of the most amazing things to do. But that comes at a cost. And I worked every day nonstop for 10 years. I didn't see amazing childhood friends for 5 years at a time. I wasn't present enough with family. So it does come at a cost, and I think it's kind of understanding that cost. I wish I could have found a better way to balance that. And also, each time we achieved something amazing as a business, I was so focused on, okay, here's what we're going to do next, that I didn't kind of pause even for a few hours to kind of bask in the achievement and kind of celebrate that with the team. So definitely I would kind of take a bit more time to kind of smell the roses on the journey and just try and find a little bit more balance that I had when I just pushed things so hard for a decade straight.
Is there something there that really summarizes almost the kind of enjoy the journey, and there wasn't a summit? So the unicorn was the summit. So, and I can relate this to some business experience of my own, where if I build this and sell that, or I achieve this, I'll relax, or I'll pull back, or I'll have achieved what I wanted. It's not how it works. And there's all sorts of milestones you could point at with BrewDog and probably some of the other businesses you've invested in, and they will all culminate in maybe being a unicorn themselves, but it doesn't actually change anything. I don't think you'd call that success. It's all part of a journey, which brings it back to right at the beginning, being present. You feel super present, and you're buzzing because you've just got engaged. But that's the bit that's really important, right? These are all key things, whereas, I get it, the younger version, but did you need to have that drive and that vision almost to then get to where you need to have the new perspective?
I think 100% yes. So it's like looking back, you've kind of got that balance of, well, if I hadn't pushed it that hard and I hadn't achieved that thing, then I'd still have this chip in my shoulder that I wasn't good enough to do the thing that I felt like I had to do in life. And I think going forward, still so focused on building fantastic things with BrewDog, with some new businesses, with some investments, but just making sure that having done it once, making sure that I enjoy the process equally, if not more than the outcome. Yeah,
and there's so many milestones, achievements you've got, and probably positioning of the brand in cool places and things you probably envisioned. Sitting here now, what would be a real North Star or a really cool achievement that you'd love to see for the brand?
So we want to turn BrewDog into one of the top 10 beer businesses on the planet. Currently we're ranked number 14, which is amazing given we were making beer in Martin's mum's garage just 17 years ago. In that top 10, every single business on there is 150 years old. So if we could rake up this kind of cartel that has been going for more than a century and put our business in that top 10 globally, I think it would be amazing. And to go from, like I said, a garage in the northeast of Scotland to one of the top 10 beer businesses on the planet, that would be a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, well, you're on your way. It's manifesting itself. So you've got great perspective here because you're a founder and you've also invested into a number of different businesses. How easy right now as we sit here in November 24 is it to start a business?
I think at any time it's tough to start a business, and I always tell founders the same things. One, what you're about to do is incredibly difficult, but it's supposed to be difficult. Two, do something you're insanely passionate about, because it's only that passion that can sustain you when things are at their toughest. And three, you've got to find a way to be different. If you're doing something that's in any way similar to what's in your industry before, it's going to be very difficult to stand out as a startup. So no, it's going to be difficult, be passionate, do something different, and I think you've got a good chance.
From the disruptor. Love it. I could talk to you for a hell of a lot longer. I'm really enjoying it, but we've run out of time. But thank you, James. This has been properly inspirational.
Cool. Amazing. Thank you, John.
Cheers, James. Thank you.